What does that mean? You'll find out right after this. Hey everybody, I am Taylor from Beard vs. Geek, where I show you it is okay to be a man and a geek at the same time. Today we are back in the Star Wars universe, and we are talking about one of the main characters of the Star Wars franchise, a very iconic Lego set, R2D2. Now, R2D2 has been in every single movie and pretty much every single episode of anything dealing with Star Wars, and is a very iconic figure in the geek culture, which is odd considering that only one other person who is a main character actually understands what R2D2 is saying, and that would be C-3PO. I propose to you that R2D2 cannot be understood by any human or humanoid, even if they have the Force. That includes Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, that one weird chick from the cartoons. Everybody, besides C-3PO and other droids, could not understand what R2D2 is saying. Now you might think, Taylor, that's preposterous. I know exactly what he's saying. He's doing beep, boop, beep.
He says there are several creatures approaching from the southeast.
That's not what I said. I said there ain't a pack of Menthols on this planet.
And all this other stuff. So, like, we totally know what he's trying to say. Well, the fact is, you don't. You see, humans catch on to different tones and different speech patterns. That is how we are able to adapt even our accents on how we speak to each other. In America, this is very common. For one person who lived in the United States, say where I'm at, Oregon, moving down to a place that has a very distinct way of speaking, a distinct accent, say South Carolina, eventually y'all going to start talking a little bit differently just because you're around it so much. And that really starts to talking about all sorts of different things, being able to speak in a different way, because we're able to pick up onto the tones that people are saying, as well as we're able to catch on to the nuances of speech, and we're able to speak differently than we normally would. You see, really, right now, what I'm doing has won me about 20 quid in different pubs, whereas, really, I'm American, and you can tell from the way I speak that I am American. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how human beings pick up on speech patterns. We do listen to tones. And those tones tell us a lot about how people are speaking. That's part of human biology and human speech. If a person goes up at the end of a sentence, odds are they're asking a question. For example, how are you today? How I started low and then I ended higher. That is a sign that a person is asking a question. Whereas they could be yelling, "Oh my goodness!" which could show excitement or rage. And those tones can tell us a lot. For example, if I were to say to a dog, "Bad dog, you are a horrible little beast," the dog would do nothing. It would sit there and it would wag its tail and So if I say something like, "Bad dog, how dare you do that?" by changing my tone and my inflection, that dog is going to react very differently than the first time when I spoke in a calm, normal voice. We use those same patterns to understand R2D2, to kind of get the gist of how he's feeling. Similar to how biological anthropologists are able to look at chimps and gorillas and see how they are reacting or see how they feel based on the different tones of their languages. Whereas they don't exactly know what means. And it is the same thing with your dog. You can read the dog's body language. You know what a whimper is. You know what a bark is. You know if they're really excited by how they bark. But you don't know exactly what they are saying. You see, even people who have the Force, like Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, they do not know exactly what R2D2 is saying. They don't know what...
What's wrong with him now?
But they can tell by the inflection of the tones and the type of tones, whether or not they sound sad or low pitch or they're excited and high pitch. They can say things that are reassuring, or they can show encouragement to R2D2 based purely on the tones without knowing what he's saying. And even Luke Skywalker, who was using the Force in The Empire Strikes Back and had become a new Jedi, did not know what R2D2 was saying. Instead, he listened to the tones, what R2D2 was saying in the back, and then he looked at the computer and he read text off of the computer interpreting what R2D2 is saying.
There's nothing wrong, R2. Just setting a new course. We're not going to regroup with the others. We're going to the Dagobah system. Yes, R2. That's alright. I'd like to keep it on manual control for a while.
Likewise, R2D2 can be translated through C-3PO because C-3PO speaks droid and he speaks humanoid speech. He's able to convey exactly what R2D2 is saying. Whereas the humans can go, oh yeah, good dog, alright. Or they can say, come on R2, you can do it, but really they don't know what he's saying. Think about it. Every instance where R2D2 is beeping, bopping, and whistling all over the place, no one knows exactly what he is saying. They just go off of the tones and they respond in kind. Similar to how you react to your dog. They bark in a certain way, you react in a certain way. And you may feel like you totally understand what your dog is talking about, but you don't know exactly what they're talking about because you don't speak dog. We may get the gist of how he's feeling and what he's saying, but really, the only ones who know what he's talking about are other droids, and they can translate for us.
Of course I'm worried, and you should be too. Lando Calrissian and poor Chewbacca never return from this awful place. Don't be so sure.
Let me know what you think about this theory, and if you agree that really no humanoid can understand what R2D2 is saying, let me know in the comment section down below. And if you like this video, you can go ahead and subscribe. Great videos are coming out every week where I show you it is okay to be a man and a geek at the same time. You can also click on one of these two videos right here for some more manliness or geekiness, because after all, if the women don't find you manly, they should at least find you geeky. And until next time, don't go shaving on me.